Baseball is a rough game and often a cruel one.
Every time you lose, you die a little bit. You die inside, a portion of you. Not all of your organs, maybe just your liver.
Pain is inevitable.
They're killing me, Whitey. They're killing me.
There was only the painful face of failure.
Okay, fellas? Hey, fellas, this is what you work all off-season for. This is why you lift all them weights. This is why you do all that.
There was a fighting heart under the ribs of defeat.
Never give up, baby. Never give up.
NFL Two-A-Days with Miller and Moulton in the afternoon. 770 ESPN Radio and 770ESPNradio.com.
Miller and Moulton in the afternoon. Chargers and Bucks are two-a-days on this day. We'll start in San Diego. Jeff Williams, senior writer, Bolthype.com, Bolthype.com. And, Jeff, this is not hype. This is me wondering what in the world was A.J. Smith doing with McNeil. I understand the Vincent Jackson thing. They like their other receivers. And, you know, he's got some issues, and, you know, they're not going to pay him what he wants because of everything. I can get that. I can back him.
Right,
Jeff,
right.
What is he doing with his left tackle here?
Yeah, you know, I think the Jackson situation is definitely the one that is getting the most headlines, but is not, I mean, it seems to be the easiest one to understand. McNeil, man, I got no idea what's going on. The depth on the offensive line has always, you know, been in question, at least, you know, as far as the fans are concerned. Always questioned the depth, always questioned the right tackle for years, you know, and it seems like the more depth, the better, and for whatever reason, I feel like we haven't gotten better at the left tackle spot. I'm still trying to figure that one out, Dave.
Well, Jeff, I mean, you know, part of why, you know, first off, McNeil takes a look at the depth chart like everybody else and says, hey, I got some leverage here. But also, I mean, you know, when they drafted him, he was a mini savior. He plugged what was a glaring hole. He is a very good player. I mean, maybe he's not a great tackle. He's at least a very good tackle. This is clearly an all-in year for the Chargers. They clearly can win the Super Bowl this year. What is A.J. Smith thinking?
Yeah, you know, they always say that, you know, if you're going to replace a Pro Bowler, you want to replace them with someone who has the potential to become a Pro Bowler. What we've got is an undrafted, second-year player who, plays some right tackle, was strongest at guard, in my opinion, and they moved him over to the most important spot on the offensive line. No one's given us a good answer as to why, other than, you know, the Chargers play hardball. And I think that's just the reputation, you know, going back from the day A.J. Smith took over.
But, Jeff, there are times, and it seems as if this was the year for A.J. Smith to clean out the locker room, if you will. So let a couple guys go, play hardball with a couple of others like Vincent Jackson and Merriman, and basically say, you know what, if we keep you around, it's really only going to be for another year because we're kind of tiring of your act and what you're going to want and what have you. But this, to me, you know, like Rivers, from where I sit, Jeff, which is 3,000 miles away, really seems to be on board with what AJ's doing and without question now the clear leader of this team. But if I was Phillip Rivers, this would be the first thing that would get me to wonder, what are we doing?
Absolutely. You don't pay your franchise quarterback, you know, $92-some-odd million a year and then not give him a guy to protect his blind side. Rivers he's the ultimate gamer. I don't think he gets enough credit for being, one of the biggest competitors I've ever seen on the field. He doesn't get enough credit for just going out and doing his job every day. But you can't expect him to be as good as he has been, and he's been great lately. You can't expect him to be as good as he has been without having that stud, watching his back. And that's who McNeil was. That's who he's been. He's run blocking is questionable, but the guy can pass block, as good as anyone. And he's been covering that guy's blind side forever. And We have yet to get a good answer as to why we're just letting him sit.
Well, I guess we'll see whether or not Rivers, if Rivers gets beat up in a couple of preseason games, I have a feeling that the tide will shift. But okay, so he's definitely going to miss the first 3 games of the year. But let's focus quickly on where there were questions. Does the first-round pick, Matthews, does that answer any and all questions at running back?
He has been so far. His average per carry is over a yard higher than we were last preseason. I know it's only preseason, but the guy so far he's getting the job done. He kind of reminds people of that young, exciting, vibrant LT who's able to hit the hole hard if he has to hit the hole. He's able to stop and bounce if the hole's not there. He's able to make people miss. He's able to kind of pound through people if he needs to, something that wasn't ever LT's strong point. So, LT is one of my favorite guys of all time. But San Diego fans are already moving on to the Matthews bandwagon, and we're loving it so far.
Ah, the Matthews bandwagon. I like that. All right, and Jeff, defensive line was a problem last year. You had the injury in the middle at nose tackle, and teams just ran it down your throat. But also pass rush. Ever since Merriman got hurt, pass rush has been inconsistent or non-existent. So how are the Chargers up front defensively? Because that seems to be holding them back from taking the next step as much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year was tough, man. There's always been a lot writing on our, 3 guys up front. We always had a stud nose tackle. We had solid guys at the tackles on the defensive side, and it's like we had to start over in the second game of the season last year. This year, they've kept a lot of those same guys. They have a lot of depth, and they kind of developed a solid rotation on the defensive line where they're bringing in a lot of fresh guys. They might not have a Pro Bowl nose tackle, but they got a young stud in rookie Cam Thomas. He's really kind of opened some eyes. He's filling holes. He has a lot to learn, but he's plugging it up. He's taking on those double teams like a man, and there's a lot of excitement. The defensive line isn't quite seen as a liability it was just because we were able to bring in so many new faces last year, get them into the system, and just getting them versed in what Ron Rivera is trying to do.
All right. If McNeil plays, even if it's, week 4 and beyond, just one-word answer, better, the same, or worse, the Chargers in 2010 to 29?
Better, but there's so much that goes into that. But I got to say better just because I think they'll go further in the playoffs. They'll win the West for sure, but they've got to be better. They got to go to at least the AFC Championship game, and I think they are trying to follow the Colts pattern of build, make the playoffs, and finally kind of break through in that 5th year of just being a solid team.
Jeff Williams, Bolthype.com. Jeff Williams from Bolthype.com. Joining us the first part of our NFL Two-A-Days, Roy Cummings has been kind enough over the years to join us many times. Roy, fine writer for the Tampa Tribune. Well, obviously, Josh Freeman and his injury, the big story coming out of the preseason game. Are the Bucs